So the other day, Vivziepop held 2 live streams on her channel. During these streams, the team signed autographs, watched the show, and answered questions from viewers. They also revealed bits of lore, with the biggest announcement being Viv confirming that Season 3 of Helluva Boss is in production. In this video, I'll recap all the info and show some clips from the streams. So the first stream happened on the 25th. It was an hour long, and unfortunately there was some technical difficulties which made it harder to hear at certain segments. So the first thing is that Viv said that during the production of Season 2 Episode 2 Seeing Stars, the team had to make last minute adjustments to the episode due to copyright issues with the Hollywood sign. Viv discussed the show's songs, and ideally every character would have their own song, but sometimes it doesn't fit their character. In particular, she mentioned Millie, and that although Millie isn't specifically a singer, she will have her own goofy song sometime this season. After the team watched Seeing Stars, they moved on to the most recent episode, X's and O's. It was revealed that the sound effects at the beginning were a reference to Pink Floyd's song Money. Viv revealed that one of her biggest inspirations is BoJack Horseman. Viv also says how one of the core design elements of the show is that all the imps have glowing eyes. The team said how Kroom's death stare is based on Stewie from Family Guy. Chaz's jacket will be a cameo in Blitz's closet in a later episode. And lastly, Viv says that Chaz will reappear and will be explored more in future episodes. So it's likely we'll get to see flashbacks showing Millie's relationship with him. So with the first stream covered, it's time to move on to the second one. This stream occurred a day later on March 26th. Thankfully this time the stream was a lot better quality and there wasn't any audio issues. So to start things off, one fan asked how long an episode takes to be made, and Viv answered that it depends on the episode. However, at the moment it takes about 4 months per episode. Viv says that they recorded Season 2 over a year ago. After this, Viv says that they're currently writing Season 3, so we finally have confirmation that Season 3 of the show is in the works. I'll play the clip.
There's some things that I think I gave to Millie kind of more finitely because for everyone who doesn't know, like fun peek behind the window, we're moving on Season 3. Like the writing right now is kind of gearing up. And we have like we've had the show mapped out, like the entire show mapped out, but we wait kind of more in the thick of things to actually script the episodes and actually like properly lock them in. And some of these like character details and stuff are things that we're like cementing now that we're getting kind of further along in that next process. And some of the kind of things that I've given to Millie come more directly from like how I've dealt with hardships and things like that. So I've become endeared to Millie in a way that became very personal, and I'm very excited for you to see what's in store with that.
So basically, as you saw, Viv confirmed that Season 3 is in the works. During last year's Streamalays, Season 3 wasn't mentioned, and Viv just said that they were working on Season 2. It's pretty crazy how much the show develops over time, especially with Viv saying that they have the entire thing mapped out. Viv also talked a little about Millie and how she'll get lots of character development this season. The team is asked how they managed to pick out Chaz's name, and they say that they just thought up the most douchey name on the spot. Viv is asked what episode was the most challenging to make, and she says episode 8. I'll play this short clip from Viv.
Viv, this is more for you. What was the most challenging and longest or longest episode to make?
8.
Sorry. Okay, I feel like of the released ones. Yeah, 8 wins that by a country mile. But
yeah, you guys will see it eventually. Man, on a technical level, this latest one was pretty tough. But I feel like it ultimately turned out really solid. Like, obviously, like it wasn't like a mess. It was in a hectic time that it went into production because 2 and this episode 2 and 3 were right in the like caught in the middle of when Hazbin's production started. So that's how you guys know how long we've been working on all this. So it was a really complicated time to figure out at our studio because obviously like there was a lot of split teams and there was a lot of my time was taken away for the first time on a very complicated production. And so this year we definitely had to figure out how to make everything, and we've definitely figured out our process. So you guys will be getting episodes much more frequently. We are obviously like we have a batch that we're trying to get out up till the summer, and we're really excited about that because it's a really nice little batch of episodes. But that after that, I think, obviously nothing's set in stone, but I think we're hoping to kind of, do the traditional route of building up a batch of episodes so that we can safely release them more timely for you guys. But we can also make them. We're making really good time on everything. The studio's in a really good place. So excited for that.
Yeah, definitely from an animation standpoint, like things are running smoother right now than they've ever run before. So I have a lot of high hopes for the future.
So, from the actual released episodes, she says episode 2 and 3 were complicated because they were being made at the same time as Hazbin Hotel, so as a result the teams got split. Viv says that we'll get more frequent episodes from now on. It must have been difficult for the team to produce 2 shows at once, so I'm really happy they managed to get Hazbin Hotel finished. At least now they'll have more time to focus on Helluva Boss. So, Viv gets asked about the music in both shows and Viv's inspiration. Viv says that Helluva Boss is more of a diegetic musical, where there's an excuse for the music in the universe, whereas Hazbin Hotel is more like a classic Broadway performance. Viv gets asked if there's any deities or other mythologies that exist in universe. Viv says that parts of the demonology and Ars Goetia come from texts and things like Dante's Inferno or the Bible. Viv goes on to say that Satan and Lucifer aren't the same person. Satan is the sin of wrath, whereas Lucifer is in charge of pride. I'll play the clip.
Well, it's funny. I know the one that I think I've seen the most like comment on is like things like Lucifer, because Lucifer is in a lot of there's so many different like interpretations of like the devil and Satan and stuff, and fun fact for people who don't know, but in some texts Lucifer and Satan are not the same character in lore, and so in Hazbin that is the case. So Satan is actually the sin of wrath. That's why a lot of the imp characters will go, oh thank Satan, or oh Satan, or whatever. It's because he's kind of the deity that represents them. Lucifer is a completely different character, and he represents pride. And Lucifer is pulled more from like sort of the biblical descriptions, which is that he was this gorgeous angel that disobeyed and things like that. So he's meant to be this very porcelain, like kind of prettier looking, like kind of I think that's why he kind of leans into the the very like lean like sexy man that I apparently draw a lot, which I do. So he leans into that.
So yeah, we already knew that Satan and Lucifer were 2 different people ages ago, but it was nice to see it confirmed again by Viv. It was funny when she said that Lucifer appears as a sexy man because he has porcelain skin and a prideful design. I remember back when the Lucifer drama happened, there was Twitter users saying Lucifer was Satan, and I had to say that no, if you do a 2-second Google search, you'll see that they're 2 different characters. It was cool to see Viv talk about them and provide some clarification on their roles. I hope we get to see Satan appear on screen sometime in the future. Adam Nayland says that Stolas' segments in season 2 episode 2 were based on Lovecraftian mythology. Viv says that one of her influences is Futurama. Ed asks Viv if there's any characters Viv developed that she thought might be worth her own show. As a result, Viv talks a little on the Zoophobia to Hazbin to Helluva relationship. I'll play the clip now so you can have a watch. It's quite long, but it's very interesting.
So Adam, I don't want to step on your toes, but Viv, your response made me think of something. Have you ever designed a character for, let's say it's Hazbin or one of your other shows, or for Helluva Boss and gone, this doesn't really fit in this show, but I can yoink them out and put them in this other show? Have you ever cross-pollinated like that in that regard?
All the time.
Yeah.
Literally how every show has come to be has been that. Like, because because when I first, like my first ever project was this project called Zoophobia, which was like my childhood, like that one's like my childhood project that I was working on since I was in like middle school, like elementary, even like to college. And I had it as a web comic, and it was my first ever thing I'd ever made, and I thought that was going to be my big thing. Like I was like, this is and it, because of that, it had everything. It was a mess. It was like, it had folklore, it had urban legends, it had hell, it had aliens, it had like it was too much. And then the whole project was based in like this animal created world that was like almost its own like lost world, kind of in the middle of like a fictional Earth that had like this giant forest, that it was just like this little society where there was like sentient animals and shapeshifters, and it was just a mess. It was a lot of things. I like to think it was a soup, like it was a soup with everything in it, because it was everything I was interested in one story and one narrative, and it was like this massive narrative, and a lot has changed. Obviously, I kind of realized this is too much. It's too ambitious. Then Disney made a movie called Zootopia, and I went, all right, well, there's my branding gone. So while I would still love, like, we actually made a Zoophobia short not that long ago. I think it was maybe 2 years ago now. But I have wanted to explore those characters again in animation, and I want that to be a comic someday. But I've been able, thanks to doing that, exactly what you said, is where I steal, because the Hazbin characters were in that at one point, like Alistair and Angel and Charlie and all that were in that story. They were in like book 5 of this like ridiculous overly whatever story. I decided, no, these characters don't even feel like they relate that much to the Zoophobia cast, and they're kind of the side mission that happens way later in the game. I think I'd rather just explore that, and so I yanked them out, and obviously I've developed them into their own world and their own cast, and then that has definitely worked out. So Hazbin became its own thing, and then through that, Helluva became its own thing through developing Hazbin further, which they're in the same universe, but I think I've learned to do that more and more. So Zoophobia actually being my main hub is actually where I pull the most from. So there's tons of characters that were in that world that I've decided to pull out and make their own project. And thanks to that, that's made Zoophobia smaller. And Zoophobia now is going to be like a more young adult. Like originally it was like Hazbin, where it was like super like got really dark and got really adult and stuff, and that's just because it was my only project. But now I think it's going to be allowed to be like a young adult series that's like an adventure, and it has a much smaller cast and a much smaller story. But that's what I've learned actually to do, is when I come up with fun ideas, don't just put them all into one pot, put them in different pots and different soups.
So yeah, I thought that was quite important to show. I've been requested a bunch to do videos on the lore of the shows and Zoophobia, so I'll definitely do a couple of videos in the future on the topic. So that's all the important info from the streams discussed. I've always seen some fans discuss the live streams, especially ones from years ago, so I thought it would be nice to recap all the important info so everyone is kept up to date. Special thanks to YouTube user Sparkles of Purple for timestamping some important info. Thanks for watching.